Hi. This class meets Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m., right? Your final is scheduled for the Monday of finals week, May 5th at 10 a.m. in the same room. So you're lucky. It's exactly when you would expect it to be, okay? Anybody have any questions about that? The final exam schedule is found on the SAU MAG page under academics, drop down course, something like calendar, and then they have a spot you can click on that. So that's when it says that we're having our final. It'll be 2 hours long. You'll have to, I mean, I don't know that it'll take you 2 hours, but you'll have 2 hours to work it. There will not be a bonus. There will not be an open response. Every single question on the final exam is multiple choice. There are more than 20. I can't remember if there's 40 or 45 or 50, but there's somewhere in that neighborhood of questions. Any other questions on that? Okay. Let me check roll real quick. Jayla, Ethan, Michaela, Joseph, Anna, Jarius, Lacey, Carly, Andrea, Jalen, Colton, Zeal, Jalen, Jakari, Annie, Talia, Coy, Wyatt, Micaiah, Amber. Okay. All right, let's get started. What kind of things are you going to be required to do on the final exam? So we're going to start back at the very beginning of our course. Triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEF. Find the following values, the side and the value of X and the lengths. Okay. Okay, guys, real quick, real simple for this course. This course meets Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. So your final exam is Monday of finals week at 10 a.m. in this classroom. So it's exactly what you would expect. Okay. Triangle ABC. You don't need all the information given. You want to take the parts that are going to make your life the easiest. So on question number 1, I would take 4/6 and set it equal to 4x plus 1 over 4x plus 7. I would put these in parentheses, and then I would use cross products. 4 times 4x plus 7 is equal to 6 times 4x plus 1. Use the distributive property, solve the equation the way you normally would. You're going to get a fraction on this one, and that's okay. When we distribute, we're going to get 16x plus 28 equals 24x plus 6. I'm going to subtract 16x from both sides. 28 is equal to 8x plus 6. Then I'm going to subtract 6. 22 is equal to 8x. Divide by 8. When you simplify this, it's going to be 11/4. On the test, it's multiple choice. But it may be several things they ask for. So you may have to pick the one that's got the right X value and the right links. On the study guide, this is the answer to the first part of the question. And the second part of the question says, so if that's the case, what's the length of AC? Well, AC is 4x plus 1. So if I put 11 over 4 in place of x, you can do that on your calculator. You may look at that and say, oh, I see those are going to cancel. 11 plus 1 is 12. It also asks you on the study guide to find the length of DF. So it is 4x plus 7. Again, the 4's are going to cancel. You're going to have 11 plus 7, which is 18. Any question on number 1? Okay. Question 2 takes us back to the chapter 1 material. And it's solving the systems of equations. Your instructions may ask you to use substitution or elimination, but I would expect that we're all going to try to use our graphing calculator to solve these systems. When you do that, you need to make sure before you start the problem that the two equations are organized the same way. X, Y equal sign, number. These are. Now, if you need a reminder for your steps, here we go. So I'm going to turn on my calculator. Just because I've been using it in different classes, I'm going to do second plus sign 712, just to clear the memory. You may not need to do that because you've probably only been using it for college algebra stuff. So here are the steps. Second matrix, second button, matrix button. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to edit matrix A. So I'm going to scroll over to edit. And I need to tell it how big matrix A is. And it is row by column. And this has 2 rows and 3 columns. Once I tell it, this one's a 2 by 3. They won't all be the same size. But once you tell it the size, then you need to enter your coefficients. -7, -6, 40, -3, 4, and 4. And then second quit. Okay, your information's in there. Now you got to tell it what to do with that information. So you're going to go back and you're going to start with second matrix. Again, second matrix. But this time, I'm going to tell it what math to do. And it's the RREF. It's way down here. Now, here's what you're telling it to do. You're telling that calculator to multiply those two equations by whatever it needs to, combine them and roll them around and do all this magic. Basically, you want it to spit out an answer that's got 1s in place of the X and 1 in place of Y and the other one, so we'll know exactly what X and Y are. That's what we're doing. So we're going to tell it RREF, and then you got to do this one more time because you got to tell it what matrix to do that with. Now, honestly, we probably only ever use matrix A, but you might have stuff in a whole bunch of them. But you're telling it this time, I want you to do that math on A. And then this is what it shows you. It shows you 1, 0, -4, 0, 1, -2. Well, 1 was in the place of x, so x is -4, and y was in the place, so y is -2. So -4, -2. We okay so far? Okay. Now, question number 3. It's not ready to go in the calculator. You got to make an adjustment on the second one. It says x plus y is 13. Leave that one alone. The second one says y equals 3x minus 3. Before we do our second matrix, subtract -3 from both sides. So it'll say -3x plus y equals -3. You might want to write those over here, all lined up, ready to go into the calculator. Okay? So you take a minute and do all the number crunching and see what you come up with on number 3. Got 4 and 9. So here's our steps. Second matrix, edit. I'm still using a 2 by 3. My coefficients are 1, 1, and 13. -3, 1, and -3. Did everybody get those in there? And you got to hit enter after it or it won't take it. Second quit. Second matrix, math. Second matrix A. We good? Okay. Question number 4. Question number 4, same chapter. This is where you got X, Y, and Z. Before you enter it into your calculator, you need to do the following. You need to make sure it is organized the same way. And if anything is left out, you need to put a 0 placeholder in its place so that you don't leave it out when you're entering it on your calculator. So we're going to line this up, X, Y, Z equal sign number. So 2x plus y, it doesn't have a z, so that means you're going to have a 0 and then 4. The second equation doesn't have an x, so it's 0x plus 5y minus 2z is -2. The third equation doesn't have a y, so it's 5x plus 0y minus 7z is -13. This is a 3 by 4. Okay, it's bigger. Other than that, it's the same as all the other steps. So we'll go to our calculator. Second matrix, we're going to tell it to edit. It is a 3 by 4. So here we go. Can't see everything on my screen all at the same time, so be careful as you're entering it. 2, 1, 0, 4. 0, 5, -2, -2. 5, 0, 7, nope, -7. -13. Okay. I did my best to carefully enter everything on there. Now I'm going to go back and say second matrix. I'm going to do some math. We want RREF on matrix A. Okay. There's your answers. They're in decimal form. You know the computer likes fractions. Don't stress. Hit math, enter. It will change them on the matrix back to where you need them to be. So it is 8/5, 4/5, and 3. Question. Okay. Number 5. Number 5 says tickets of a program at college are $3 for general admission, $2 with a student ID. If 180 people paid to see a performance and $433 were collected, how many of each type of ticket were sold? You're going to have to write your system and then do the matrix thing on this one. So you got two things. You got general admission and student ID. General plus student is 180. The number of general admissions plus the number of students is 180. The cost for each. Second equation is going to be about the money. $3 for each general ticket, $2 for each student ticket, and altogether it came out to be $433. Once you get to this step, right back in the calculator. Second matrix. We're going to edit. And we're going to have to edit the size because this is back to being a 2x3. The coefficients are 1, 1, and 180. 3, 2, and 433. Second quit. Second matrix. I'm going to tell it to do the math on matrix A. Now, here's the deal. Remember where you put your stuff. This was the G, so G is 73. This was the S, so S is 107. Be sure you know where you put your variables, and be sure they're in the same place in this equation as they are in this equation. So it asks us, what did it even ask us on that one? Oh, how many of each type? In a program at college, blank tickets were sold for general admission, 73, and blank were sold for student, 107. That's question 5. Okay. Ready for number 6? Waitress sold 18 ribeye steak dinners and 18 grilled salmon dinners, totaling $551 on a particular day. So we got to write the equations here. They're not exactly the same as the ticket sales. Okay. Another day, 24 ribeye steak dinners and 9 grilled salmon dinners for $583.45. Both of these equations are going to be about the money. Okay. 18R plus 18S is 551.02. On another day, 24R plus 9S is 583.45. Now we go to the calculator. It's still a 2 by 3. Here we go. 18, 18, 551.02, 24, 9, 583.45. Everybody comfortable with that? These were the answers that I got. Be sure you remember where you put your variables and they all line up the same. Any questions so far? Okay, we're going to kind of switch gears. Almost everything we did in the whole entire course was quadratic formula related in some way or another. So then this is what we're going to start next. The number 7. It starts with the variable 9. It says use the quadratic formula to solve. So you know the quadratic formula is on your yellow sheet. It says negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. We know that a is the coefficient of the x squared term, b is the coefficient of the linear or the x term, and c is the constant, which is 8. We get ready to enter that into the quadratic formula. Be very careful that you put the right thing in the right place. So it's negative 7 plus or minus 7 squared minus 4 times a, which is 9, times c, which is 8, over 2 times 9. Now, the next thing I would do is calculate this. Don't use the square root. Just give me the value under the radical. So negative 7 plus or minus, we can go ahead and do 18 on the bottom. And what number do you get when you do all of that? Let's see. 7 squared minus 4 times 9 times 8. I got negative 239. Did you get that? It's negative. You got to deal with that. So that means you're going to have negative 7 plus or minus I square roots of 239 over 18. Look at your answer choices. 239 won't break down. So now all you're doing is you're picking out the right answer. It's the one that says negative 7 plus I square roots of 239 over 18 and negative 7 minus I square roots of 239 over 18. Number 7 is answer choice A. B is wrong because 7's not negative. C and D are wrong because they don't have 18 on the bottom. Any question on that one? Okay, number 8. Use the discriminant. The discriminant is this. This is the discriminant. Use the discriminant to determine whether the equation has 2 rational, 1 rational, 2 irrational, or 2 non-real complex solutions. So let's make a little chart over to the side. If you get a negative number under the square root, it is 2 non-real. If you do this and you get a positive perfect square, 36, 49, something like that, it is too rational. If you do all this and you get a positive, not perfect square, it's two irrationals. If you do all this and you get 0, it is one rational. Okay? So for this particular problem, A is 4, B is negative 12, and C is 9. So I'm going to have B squared minus 4 times 4 times 9. Did you get 0? So it is one rational solution. Number 9, solve the equation. It says x minus 3 equals 4 over x. First thing we have to do is get rid of what's in the denominator. So to get rid of that, we're going to multiply every part of this equation by x. So the reason we do that is we want to cancel this out over here. We're going to end up with just a 4 over there. So we'll have x squared minus 3x equals 4. Now to solve, I need to move everything to one side and either factor or use the quadratic formula. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. It'll say x squared minus 3x minus 4 is 0. It doesn't matter to me whether you factor or use the quadratic formula. So we'll do the quadratic formula. So we'll have negative 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 4 over 2 times 1. Do the part that's under the radical. So we have 3 plus or minus the square root of 25 over 2. We know the answer to the square root of 25 is 5. So it's 3 plus or minus 5 over 2. Split that apart. 3 plus 5 over 2. 3 minus 5 over 2. 8 over 2 is 4. Negative 2 over 2 is negative 1. These are your answer choices. And this is a pure multiple choice question. So number 9, it looks like the answer is C on the handout. Any questions on number 9? Okay. Number 10. Solve the following. Okay, we're not going to do all the fooling out of that. So when you look at that and it says 2m minus 4 squared minus 4 times 2m minus 4 minus 21 equals 0. Okay, that's the question. This is how we're going to solve this one. We're going to let u equal 2m minus 4. Then u squared will be 2m minus 4 squared. And my equation will say u squared minus 4u minus 21 is 0. It doesn't matter whether you factor or use a quadratic formula. I'm going to do the quadratic formula every time up here. Is that what y'all use most of the time? I think y'all just, it always works, so people always use it. If you're factoring, you're fine. If you're factoring and you're comfortable with that, that's great. So A is 1, B is -4, C is -27. And here we go in the quadratic formula. It's negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So here we go. Negative. And then I'm going to have b squared or. So, and here's the -4. Be careful about your negative signs. It also goes here. A is 1. C is -27. 21. Oh, it is 21. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That would have messed us up. This is 21, not 27. Okay, so we're going to have positive 4 plus or minus the square root of, what do you get when you calculate under the radical? 16 plus 84. Did you get 100? Let me give you a minute to validate that. So it's positive 4 plus or minus 10 over 2. Split that apart. 4 plus 10 over 2 is 14 over 2, which is 7. 4 minus 10 over 2 is -6 over 2, which is -3. Now, this is not where this ends, okay? That's the answer to the green part. That's what u equals. We got to go back. Remember? U is really 2m minus 4. So carefully solve those. Going to add 4 to both sides. 2m will equal 11. So this part is 11 over 2. Add 4 to both sides. 2m is 1. M is 1/2. So my answer choices are number 10. Answer choices are 11 over 2 and 1/2, which is answer choice. Okay, y'all ready for the next one? 11. All right, let's see what it says. 11 says the square root of x plus 7 plus 5 equals x. What you need to do here is you need to get the radical isolated, and then we're going to square both sides. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. So now it's going to say the square root of x plus 7 equals x minus 5. Now we're going to square both sides. It's real easy on the left. The exponent cancels out the radical, so it's just x plus 7. On the right, you're really going to do the FOIL. You're going to do the distributive property. Maybe over to the side, you want to do that and just work that problem out. So it's going to be x squared minus 5x minus 5x plus 25, which turns into x squared minus 10x plus 25. That's what goes right here. We're going to move everything to one side and solve it. It's going to be a quadratic. So the next step is subtract this x here and here. 7 equals x squared minus 11x plus 25. Subtract the 7. 0 is x squared minus 11x plus 18. You can either factor or you can use the quadratic formula. A is 1, B is negative 11, C is 18. Oh, not 118, just 18. So we get 11 plus or minus the square root of 49 over 2. Eleven plus or minus 7 over 2, which is 11 plus 7 over 2. And then 11 minus 7 over 2, which is, what's 11 minus 7? 4. 4 over 2 is 2. Now, check both. Anytime you use squaring as a means of solving an equation, you must check your answers to be sure that you didn't get an extraneous root. You could get all the way to the bottom and get both of these numbers absolutely without making any mistakes. But because we use squaring as tool, it might not work in both of them. So here's what you're checking it in. The original one says x plus 7 plus 5 equals x. You're checking it in the original. Does 9 plus 7, square root of that, plus 5 really equal 9? We're going to check the next one. Does 2 plus 7 plus 5 square root really equal 2? So on this side, 9 and 7 make 16. That's 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. That one checks. On this side, this is 9. 3 plus 5 is 8. Nope, that's not 2. So you can't use that one. All right. When you make any mistakes in finding it, it just doesn't work because we use squaring as a tool. So number 11 only has one answer, which is 9. That's answer choice D. Number 12. A lot is in the shape of a right triangle. The shorter leg is 180. So if your picture's like mine, they look about, just pick one, doesn't matter. The hypotenuse, y'all, that's the one across from the box. It is 60 longer than the length of the longer leg. So this is the shorter leg. This is the longer leg. And this is the hypotenuse. Well, I don't know the longer leg. And they said this one is 60 more than that. So step 1 is getting everything labeled. Then they're going to ask you for the length. Here's what they're wanting you to use. They're wanting you to use the Pythagorean theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Please don't get this confused with quadratic. This is not quadratic. This means that the short leg squared plus the longer leg squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared. The left side's real easy. The right side, you're going to have to really multiply that stuff together. So here we go. 180 squared is 32,400. Now I'm going to go over to the side to do, let's see, 60 plus x times 60 plus x, which is 60 times 60, 3,600 plus 60x plus 60x plus x squared. That's what goes over here. I'm going to go ahead and put that together. Now, I need to get everything lined up together. I need to get all the things on the same side. The first thing that I'm going to try to combine are the x squareds. So I'm going to pick this one and I'm going to subtract it here. And I'm also going to subtract it here. And guess what happens? It goes away from both sides. This thing went from being quadratic to being linear just like that. That made your life a whole lot easier. So this is 32400 equals 3,600 plus 120x. Now that's a simple little equation to solve. Subtract 3,600 from both sides. That gives me 28,800. Divide by 120. I get x to be 240. The question on this particular problem says, how long is the longer leg? Okay, that is exactly, that's it. If it asks you for the hypotenuse, you'd have to go back in and add the 60 to it, but it asks you for the longer leg. So it's asking you for exactly what you find. Okay, questions on 12. 13 says d of t is equal to 13t squared minus 73t. It's the distance in feet that a car going 50 miles an hour will skid t seconds. Find the time it would take for the skid to be 462. So you're putting the 462 in place of the distance. The 50 miles per hour in this story is not, it's not in the problem. Like, it's just extra. It doesn't go in there anywhere. So here we go. You need to move the 462 to the other side. and then solve by quadratic formula. I'm not going through all that on this problem. We've done enough of this today that I think you're okay with that. Y'all feel okay with me skipping over that? Okay. I'm gonna tell you what my answer was on 13. I got 9.4 for that answer. Okay. Okay. 14. 14 says f of x is 4x squared minus 5, and g of x is 2x plus 3. Find f plus g of 2. That means f of 2, g of 2, and then you add them together, okay? F of 2 is 4 times 2 squared minus 5. Turns out to be 11. G of 2 is 2 times 2 plus 3. It turns out to be 7. So when you add them together, the answer is 18. Questions on 14? Okay. 15 is a little bit different. It says f of x is 2x squared minus 6. G of x is 2x plus 3. No, I jumped on the wrong one, didn't I? 4x plus 1, I apologize. Okay. Let me double check 15. I want to be sure I got the right. Yeah, those are the right functions. I copied it down right. Now, here's what the question asks. F of g of -1. Sometimes you see it written as f of g of -1. You are going to do this part first. In fact, f of, and draw a box. That's where the answer goes for g of -1. So we get g of -1 is -4 plus 1, which is -3. So that goes in this box. Now you're going to work the F problem using that answer as your value. 2 times -3 squared minus 6. So it's 2 times 9. 18 minus 6 is 12. That final answer is 12 on 15. I'm going to pick up with 16 on Wednesday. I'm going to go ahead and let you look these tests. So Lacey, Amber, Kayla, Carly, Andrea. Make sure you turn them back in. I need them back. Y'all look over and make sure you understand everything. Jayla, Jarius, Annie. Micaiah. Cards. Toy. Joseph. Annie. What are pictures? Toy. Joseph. Ethan. Giselle. Kalia. No. No. You didn't finish yours. All right, y'all too.